Well, there was this time, and it wasn't that long ago, actually, where people would argue with me, and they would call me cynical things, and they'd say, Joey, you can't give anybody credit. What's up with you? Elon's a genius. He's a brilliant man. He's going to save humanity. He's the green revolution guy. They told me all this shit, and I said, man, the richest man in the whole world is always a villain. It doesn't matter. There's no scenario in all of history, now, past, present, where future, where someone who's the richest man in the world is actually a good person. That's never good. You didn't become the richest man in the world by being a good person. Okay, so what I'm going to tell you is, first of all, Elon's a bad man. And they're trying to sell this vision that we're going to just take off out of here and go live on Mars somewhere. I know he wants to think that. I know that his upper class, they're all well aware climate change is real and that we're turning our planet into a hothouse. And their only plan for it is to basically get as rich as they can and then get AI to become their workforce so they don't need us in the future. So they can go build their own gated country over there in Greenland, wall themselves off, and whatever happens to the rest of you, well, screw you. In fact, maybe we can go to Mars. Maybe we can even go to Mars there. And, this is their plan. This is how they think, these people, right? So, what I want to say to you, first of all, is there is no other Earth. There is no other planet. There's no other place to go. We're never leaving. We're not going to colonize the galaxy. It's not possible. By the time we get the sheer amount of resources and fuel and spaceships, you need enough fuel to power your spaceship to a place and then decelerate it. Then you're going to go out there in the vacuum of space and you're going to be exposed to radiation. What if we cryo-freeze? Yeah, unfortunately, that's not really possible. In fact, the ice particles, if you cryo-freeze, will probably basically puncture through all the cell membranes and turn your body to mush over time. There's no leaving this planet. We know that's bad for the human body being in 0G. You go to 0G we don't even know what happens when you go beyond our own little Earth moon thing that we have here. You go into 0G, basically, after a length of time, it's going to affect your eyesight, it's going to affect your blood pressure, your heart, your ability to even function, to stand up under your muscles will atrophy. Humans are only built for one fucking place. It's right here on Earth. So I'm cynical, when I see articles like this. Elon has changed his mission statement. Across his companies and his public statements, Musk is making a hard reset. And I guess, some people are surprised about this. They're like, oh, wow, I can't believe that Elon is not what he said he was going to be. He's not playing out the way we thought. And I was like, I told you so. I told you so all this time. That was the one who is bitter enough to understand that the rich people are always your enemy. The richer you are, and like what we've seen here with these people, is the more they have, the more they want. There's no amount of wanting that is too much for them. So they already have all the power. They already have all the resources. They've hoarded all the money. They got their own space companies now. They got boats and yachts. They own private islands. They own massive companies. They own massive AI software infrastructure. Even then, why is Elon's name come up in the Epstein files? Because nothing was enough. And it's like this with drug addicts too, right? Because basically money and power is a form of drug. The more you give them, the more they want. The more their tolerance goes up. So you get a billionaire, and now they have a high tolerance for antisocial behavior, which is hoarding of wealth. And it's not enough. They need more to get that high inside their mind, right? So the point is, there is no other Earth, and we've letting people like Elon Musk run this planet. They're going to run it into the ground, and they don't care about you. Their ultimate plan is to see you and your family fucking die off so they can own the Earth to themselves. They don't want to fix climate change. They're well aware. They've spent billions of dollars convincing you that it's not real, and it's just a liberal conspiracy. Meanwhile, the oil tycoons, the big energy players, the big AI people, the billionaires, the multi-billionaires, all the Epstein class, all the people who run the world secretly behind their closed doors with the intention of making themselves richer, all of them don't care what happens to you. They don't care to fix the plan. They don't want to lose money. They don't want to lose power. They don't want to lose influence. So their goal right now is acquire as much as possible so that when the time comes, they can go. It's almost like something out of the fucking show Fallout. It's like these Vaultec employees. I thought that Fallout was kind of like crazy until I read I was like, oh, they're getting into that kind of QAnon type conspiracy. Well, the rich are planning to eliminate everybody on Earth. And then you read the Epstein files and you see what friggin' people are saying to each other, like Peter Thiel, these big AI tech people who are like basically celebrating. They spent the money to convince the British public that Brexit was a good idea. Then the British public votes for it. Then Brexit happens. Then their economy starts to collapse. And then the rich are sitting there emailing each other back and forth saying, this is a great thing. Now we can buy up these assets that are super cheap. Okay, let's read some of this article I found on Elon that I think's interesting. Gizmodo, across his companies and his public statements, Musk is making a hard reset. Is he? Is this a hard reset, or is this really the plan all along? Find out on this episode of The Joey Only Show. Please subscribe. I'm a brand new channel. I'm trying to get further here. Of course, my other channel's got over 10,000 people on it, but we're going to make this one a political channel. No weather talk on here. And if you like my ideas, my outspokenness, and my vision for what is true and just and real, please subscribe here. Help this guy, because there's basically, I'll tell you this. I look at a new channel that's for pro-separatist channel for breaking up Canada, Alberta, BC separatists, these kinds of people. And I look at and their brand new channel, their videos are getting 20,000 fucking views, and I can barely get a view on my brand new channel because the algorithms are set to push a right-wing extremist narrative because the billionaire class owns YouTube, owns Google, and it's the billionaire class that will shut me down the first second they can. Therefore, that's why you should come join my Patreon and help support me. Support this channel, support everything I'm doing, support independent media because no billionaire is pulling my strings above at all. So Tesla company, it's not a car company. It's not a robotics company either. Are we going to Mars or the moon? Maybe the moon, I guess. Are humans part of extending the light of consciousness to other planets and bullshit like this? It can be hard to keep up if you followed Musk's shifting mission statement over the past decade or the past year or the past month. Basically, all I've been seeing from this guy from a long time is extreme racism coming out of it. I knew that he bought Twitter to push an extremist, right-wing, hardcore narrative that would, convince people that authoritarianism and dictatorship's what we need. All right? Musk has never been a progressive person whatsoever. His dad, they come from the diamond mine money, and of course, racism and segregation in South Africa, apartheid is what partly made Musk famous. So we've updated the Tesla mission to amazing abundance for him. And this is intended to send a message of optimism. So he's selling this message of optimism, but it's a fucking ruse because basically they intend to pull the rug out from underneath you all in the end. So it's like codified language, optimism about the future, abundance. But he's not talking for you, we know, because he already cut USAID. You know that they made this Doge organization to go in and screw over working people in America up and down, and they'd do the same thing in Canada if they could. I think we're most likely heading to an exciting, amazing era of abundance. We had that already on planet Earth, and people like you fucking stole it. And I think with the advent or with the continued growth of AI and robotics, I think we're actually headed to a future of universal high income. Not basic universal income, but universal. Now, wait a second. So you're pushing socialism, except you cut USAID. You cut every program you got in the way of healthcare being given to Americans. So why would you say this when already you've been shown that you do not have a conscience when it comes to the effects? If you did, you would invest some of your money into helping Americans, but you don't. The switch to amazing abundance is a new change compared to the last mission statement, Tesla Master Plan Part 4. It called Sustainable Abundance, a note to Musk's purported goal of helping the environment, which he's not. Compare these. In fact, if anything, Musk has been so damaging to the environment because he became the monopoly on electric cars for at least a little while. And people didn't want to buy an electric car from him. I know these fucking progressive people who I know bought a Tesla car back before, Elon. And then they put a sticker on their car that says, I bought this car before we knew Elon was crazy. And I said, that's fine. But I told you guilted me on the ski lift going up the fucking hill at Troll while we were skiing. And you said, oh, how come you don't buy a Tesla? And I said, well, I'm a working class guy. I got kids. As you're aware, I can't go affording $30, $40, $50, $60,000 vehicle right now. I own a vehicle. I have to drive the one I own, even if the gas costs me more than you spend on gas. I don't have your amount of resources available to purchase this. And they guilted me. The middle class fuckers guilted me, like as if I don't care about the environment. And then, of course, they get to put that sticker on afterwards. I bought this car before I knew Elon was a bad guy. I told you that giving more money to the world's richest man is a bad idea, right? But they're merely liberal progressives, whereas I'm a socialist. So I look at these things from a set of principles and standards that never changes. It's always the same. Look at how he treats his employees, though. We're building a culture that is safe, fair, and exciting for all of our employees. It's incredibly important to Tesla that everyone looks forward to coming to work every day. Is this a union environment, though? We are proud to have built a company filled with employees of all backgrounds who possess the energy and drive to accelerate the vision forward. It sounds pretty woke, if you ask us, and nothing's more dangerous than the woke mind virus, according to Musk. So he's got this woke mission statement, but of course that doesn't include a unionized workforce. No, we're not going to actually share the spoils of capital and give you part of what you've made earn for Musk. He's not going to share that. The Tesla mission statement is one of many that seem to be shifting radically. Musk appeared on Cheeky Point last week where he discussed his plans for his chatbot, solar power, and space travel. The discussion around humanity is perhaps the biggest eye-opener for folks who think they understand the billionaire's goals. Because for all his talk about loving humanity, he transparently loathes people, as evidenced by his decision to take a chainsaw to things like USAID last year, and he seems to be dipping his toe in the water to acknowledge that humans aren't necessary for the future he's envisioning. This fucker will kill us off. Do you not understand? There is no other planet to go to. There's no other place we can go. These billionaires are pushing us to the brink of total disaster and total collapse, and they don't fucking need us. So Musk was asked about travel to other planets, which I know is basically fucking impossible. Humans aren't going to Mars. The resources, the energy, just to have enough fuel to transport a spacecraft to Mars that is shielded from cosmic rays, from interstellar rays, from radiation. In order to put that much shielding on there, you have to have an even larger amount of fuel. Well, then you have to stop once you get to Mars too, which requires fuel for deceleration. Just the physics of the spacecraft itself, with all the things we need for life support, isn't possible. Meanwhile, we know that humans don't do well in space. We know that we will die of cancer if we try to live on a place without a magnetic shielding the way Earth has. So there's no other place to go. These people know this. Musk knows this. He's selling you bullshit, and you lap it up, right? How does Grok fit into that? There seems to be some confusion about whether humans would be part of the equation if artificial intelligence were to surpass human intelligence. He says, the most important thing is that consciousness, which I think arguably most consciousness, or most intelligence certainly, consciousness is more of a debatable thing, but the vast majority of intelligence in the future will be AI. This guy just talks shit. Basically, humans will be a very tiny percentage of all intelligence. So it's going to be like, the Terminator future where basically he owns Skynet, then they wipe all the humans off, and then him and his robots can basically live in their fucking tropical island, maybe at some place in Greenland they built for themselves, right? So he stammered through a sentence he'd be forgiven for missing because it's borderline unintelligible. As long as I think there's intelligence, ideally also, which includes human intelligence and consciousness, propagated into the future, that's a good thing. That word ideally seems to be a big red flag for anyone worried about Musk's plan for humanity. Humans will be there ideally, but that's not a guarantee. The host pressed him on the goals of SpaceX and whether AI was a hedge against humanity dying off or whether it even mattered if we did. I'm very pro-human, so I want to make sure we take certain actions that ensure humans are along for the ride. We're at least there, and by we're, he means the billionaires. But let me say that the total amount of intelligence, I think maybe in 5 or 6 years, AI will exceed the sum of all human intelligence, and if that continues at some point, human intelligence will be less than 1% of intelligence. I don't think AI is intelligent. I think AI is like a librarian who knows where to find shit, okay? That doesn't necessarily mean that they've read the books and understand deeply. The host asked if a small number of humans would still be in control of AI, and then he admitted that humanity really wouldn't be in control of this version of the future. In the long run, I think it's difficult to imagine that if humans, say 1% of the combined intelligence, will be in charge of AI, says Musk, snorting the cocaine back into his nose. I think what we need to do is make sure that AI's values cause intelligence to be propagated into the universe, man. So the reason for AI's mission is to understand the universe, man. So that's very important, man. If people are there for the ride, I mean, it doesn't really matter if humanity still exists or not, but ideally they would. But I think absolutely, as a corollary, you have humanity also continue to expand, because if you're curious
curious. You're just trying to understand the universe. One thing you're going to understand is where will humanity go? And so I think understanding the universe actually means you would care about propagating humanity in the future. Sig Heil, by the way. And I think our mission statement is profoundly important.
This is like the ultimate fucking Hitler right here. This guy is, wiping out one or, a political organization, wiping out, a subset of a human, what we might call race, like say the Jews or the Gypsies. That's not good enough. Musk is okay with like basically wiping out all of humanity if it happens, but okay, let's continue on. So none of this shit makes sense. If some form of robotic intelligence wanted to understand the universe, there's no reason it would need humans to do that. It's a bit like believing that a particular species of bug would be treasured and sustained into the future by a race of advanced beings simply because they wanted to understand the universe. It would be a nice thought, but it's not necessary. The host asked the question using chimpanzees. Even if humans care about chimps, they're not trying to expand the footprint of chimps into space. Well, we have put a chimp into space, but okay.
Even though humans could exterminate all chimpanzees, we've not. We've chosen not to do so, said Musk.
So sure. That resonates with some folks, but it's not encouraging when you consider what Musk is building with his AI chatbot Grok. This is the AI that is spreading far-right conspiracy theories about white farmers being killed in South Africa while advocating a new Holocaust. Musk practically spends every day talking about how oppressed white people are. And, of course, we can't forget the inauguration salute. This is the guy who's going to build an advanced AI that will cherish humanity and want to see it thrive in the future and do away with work, and we'll have a big utopia. Bullshit! One can obviously imagine Grok's biases because we've seen them at work every day by Elon, the probable pedophile. That is the bot that says Elon Musk is smarter than Einstein and more fit than LeBron James. Holy shit. Would you want to live in the wildlife refuge run by Grok? As the wealthiest person in history, now at 850 billion fucking slimy, evil, stinking dollars, Musk seems to be building something not for humanity, but for himself. Every pivot we see serves his needs and the needs of his stock price. So when his electric car sales plateaued, Musk insisted Tesla wasn't a car company. He argued that his software, like full self-driving, made it much more important that affirm that it was cranking out electric vehicles. And his robot Optimus was folded into that mix as the great promise of the future, suddenly making Tesla not a car company, not a tech company, but a robotics company. Okay, what are we? And he said his investors called last month, and he had a long-term goal of producing 1 million Optimus robots per year, discontinuing his Tesla Model S and X vehicle production, instead building, so he's not even going to build many cars anymore. The call was peppered with caveats, and when it came to his long-promised full self-driving tech, including phrases like pending regulatory approval, it's a lot of big promises with this fucking guy that never come true. Oh, cars are going to be driving around. We'll be living on the moon. We're going to Mars. We're doing this. We're not going to need to work anymore, and AI will take care of all our needs. And no, I totally won't wipe all humanity off the earth and build my own little safe space and live in a fucking vault. What is SpaceX's true mission? It won't just be that Tesla stock price needs juicing. Musk has merged his AI company with SpaceX in the lead up to turning it into a publicly traded company. Merging the two companies doesn't make sense unless you can come up with some strange excuse. Musk said during the Cheeky Pint podcast he expects it will be cheaper to build artificial intelligence and orbital data centers in space. My prediction is it will be by far the cheapest place to put AI will be in space. The fuck? The timeline reminds you of promises for flying cars, which always seem to be 2 years out. So when Musk says 36 months from now, he's probably talking like minimum 360 years. Knowing this guy. Should X be inclusive? You see the kind of radical shifts happen in recent years at Twitter. Compare the way that Musk talked about Twitter when he was trying to buy it to the way he operates it. I think it's very hard, very important that there's an inclusive area for free speech, Musk said during an interview shortly after he announced his intention to buy it. But now he basically shuts you down as soon as you say something he doesn't like. So we know he doesn't care about free speech. He's not a progressive person. He's not trying to make the world a better place for you. He's trying to just make the better place for him. So when it comes to flying cars, they're going to now he's talking about building a self-growing city on the moon. The mission of SpaceX remains the same. Extend consciousness and life as we know it. It just sounds like new age horse shit. That said, SpaceX will strive to build a Mars city, but it's in 5 to 7 years? Are you fucking kidding? Do you know how actually hard sending humans to Mars is? How lethal? It's not gonna happen, folks. It's not going to happen anytime soon that you're going to have any real promise of any kind of a human habitation on Mars. We have physical, we have technological barriers, right? Our biology is not meant for space. We're only meant for planet Earth. It's the only place. We're never going to go past the speed of light. We're never going to leave our solar system. Not for I don't see a scenario where physics can be broken. Okay? We're not an interplanetary species. We are from this fucking planet right here, and these fuckers are going to wreck it. Okay? He says we won't even need to work. So he's not going to need you. He insists that robots will do everything because they can be programmed. And once they don't need you anymore, where do you go? What's the real goal? Musk has different ways of presenting himself to investors, and he's obviously out to accumulate as much money as possible. He wasn't invited to the White House for an electric car event during Joe Biden's presidency, something many commentators think drove his push to embrace Trump in the 2024 election. Musk is obsessed with getting ousted from OpenAI, the company he helped found with others like CEO Sam Altman. These rivalries may seem like small potatoes in the grand scheme, but personal animus toward perceived enemies may be the one big thing driving Musk beyond money. Because after a trillionaire, what else is there to achieve? What if Musk is dismantling U.S. aid and destruction of federal agencies? It's just a way to get back at Democrats who no longer worship him as a god. No, it's actually much worse than this. This guy actually plans to set up society so that it will destroy itself, and he can just kind of sit back and watch it and live in his own little peace. So his unsolicited bid for OpenAI in a move widely seen as an effort to frustrate the AI company's transition into a for-profit vehicle, billionaires like Musk can hoard all the money in the world, but they're still driven by some of the pettiest motivations you can imagine. That's why his mission statement keeps changing. It's not in the service of some higher purpose. When it comes down to it, it's about two things: money and hate. Fuck Elon Musk forever. Hit like, share, subscribe. This country boy up here, I tell you, I'm living up in the mountains. I've been in the mountains for a long friggin' time out here, living like a hillbilly. The only source of heat I have is the wood stove, right? And I look at these fucking nerdy, rich, tech billionaire CEOs, and they're not people who I'd ever want to have anything to do with. There was never going to be a time, like I know before Elon went crazy, but he was fucking always that way. It was just a big propaganda campaign you couldn't see through because you still believe that capitalism can be reformed into something that is actually useful, when the reality is it is destroying our planet. Bye!